It's showtime.
Hello and welcome to Musical Lingo. We're your hosts, Tim
and LJ. Today and every week we will be discussing musicals, but specifically what they taught us.
Hello.
Hello.
We're back.
We're here. We're
just
in your
voice,
ears.
So no video again.
I know, my phone's doing something really weird.
It is definitely the storage.
Yeah. I did delete lots of images of us.
It's okay. You can meet Stanley and Waldorf, our theatre
really
masks, on our live tour that we're going to do.
Yeah.
In our dreams.
Yeah. We're working our way towards
our way towards the Palladium. We'll be there soon.
Anyway.
How are we?
Yeah, we're good.
All good?
Yeah, all good. Always all good whenever we get to discuss musicals.
Indeed, musical theatre. Here, do send us a wee suggestion as to what you think we should do next.
Please
It'd be good to. We've been making all the choices here. We've been making all the decisions. It would be good to get you guys your opinions again. They give us a fresh round
when people have given us suggestions, because it's either been ones that we wouldn't have maybe done so early on in the pod.
That's right. Yep. So do give us a fresh round of suggestions, please, that we can plop in between some of the interviews that we have coming up soon. Yeah,
I'll do a couple of polls on our socials and get that.
Who's your favourite, Tim or LJ? No, sorry. Oh, me. Oh, right. Okay. For
yes.
I can move these now, can't I? Because they're doing my head in.
Oh, yeah. Because there's no video.
There's no video to see the bloody theatre masks. What's the point? Theatre news.
Yes.
Here, how exciting.
There is a lot of theatre news at the moment.
Is this concert when we could potentially be in London?
It is. It's the 5th and the 6th.
We could potentially be in London potentially recording a podcast, folks. You never know. So that concert's on at that time. Do you know what concert we're talking about, folks? We have mentioned it in the podcast prior. It's another one of these musical theatre musicals in one night concert formats.
2 nights. They're doing it over 2 nights. Yeah.
That's because of who they got in it. So we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. Something Rotten is coming. Is it the Palladium?
Yeah.
It's coming to the Palladium for a 2-night concert now. And originally we had Jason Manford mentioned, but they've now done more casting. They've announced that it will also star Richard Fleischman.
Yeah, he's fab.
He is amazing. I saw him in Ghost.
Yes.
In the Piccadilly Theatre, and he was incredible, and that's the first time I'd experienced him on stage, because I'd only seen him in Coronation Street as a wee kid, and he certainly wasn't a wee kid in Ghost. And then I did see him. He was one of the 3 boyfriends in the Company revival, where they switched the genders. So rather than the 3 girlfriends, it was the 3 boyfriends. Yeah. He was the pilot. So yeah, he is playing the Bard, Shakespeare himself. And then my friend, Marisha Wallace is also going to be in that concert version. So, oh gosh, it would be so good,
be great, wouldn't it? I mean, I'm still not too sure how we're affording all of these things we want to do while we're away.
To be quite honest with you, Lauren, that's why we still haven't booked it.
I know.
But
I'm thinking it's one of those things.
You only live once, right?
Yeah. Book it, pay for it somehow.
And just get on with it.
Dance routine. And then just...
I don't do those dances.
Dancer
private dancer, dancer for money. That was Martina Turner, just in case anybody didn't get. I don't do them. I went to say I don't do them anymore, and I'm like, I've never done them. Why would you say that?
Well, I feel that whenever we're off doing some show busy stuff, that because going with our wonderful other halves, that if we just tell them that they can only do free things, then that'll balance out.
That's really unfair.
I'm really joking.
Here, I also have some exciting news.
What?
I'm going to be choreographing an amateur production of Les Miserables.
This is so exciting.
It is. It's very exciting. So, it's next year. Les Mis is 40 years old, so 40th anniversary. And for amateur companies, you can't do Les Mis. You can't do an amateur production of Les Mis because you can't get the rights. You can only get the rights for a school edition, which is for youth. So, Mr. McIntosh, Cameron McIntosh, has granted the rights for 10 amateur productions next year across the UK. So one of those 10 is going to be in Belfast.
Amazing.
So
what an
it's
opportunity.
very exciting. So Belfast Operatic is going to be presenting in affiliation with St Agnes Choral Society, Ulster Operatic and the Grand Opera House Trust. And we're going to be doing it in the Grand Opera House in Belfast for a week.
Amazing.
And I'm really lucky to have been given the opportunity to choreograph it.
But, I mean, no better person for it.
Oh, well, I don't know about that, but it's very exciting. I think it's exciting for the amateur world that they get this opportunity, and I hope as many amateur people grasp the opportunity across the UK, wherever their nearest production might be.
Absolutely.
Just to experience it, because I would say after next year, you'll not be able to do it again for a very, 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 very long time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No,
so
it's so exciting.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you. It's amazing. And it will just be a wonderful experience.
I think it will. I think it could be really, really special. So, yeah. So it might be a wee bit busy.
I know. How are we going to fit?
It's going to be busy.
How are we going to fit
we'll
everything
always
in?
make room for the pod. Do you think
better?
Do you think Cameron might come on?
Oh, of course.
Do you think if we called
this is the
Cameron
reason.
McIntosh's offices and said, will you come on and talk about the project?
Well, this is all a big, elaborate affair. Let's do 10 licenses, make sure one's in Belfast, just so he can get to speak to you and then get on the podcast.
I'm not
That's
so
what it
sure.
is.
Do you know what's even more exciting? Belfast is the first of the 10.
Oh, that's...
Yeah.
that
As far
is
as I'm
great.
aware, I think Belfast is first.
Oh, yeah, that will be good.
I know. Oh, I'm starting to feel a wee bit bokeh and sick.
No.
Let's move on really quickly. But yes, there we go.
Wow.
Exciting.
Exciting. There's so many things that are being released, where there's these little concerts. Do you see the last 5 years is going to be on Broadway with Nick Jonas?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, are you not a Jonas fan?
Well, funny. The last thing I saw him in musical theatre wise was, well, I didn't actually see him in it, but I saw the DVD of it. The Les Mis, and he was absolutely atrocious, in my opinion.
Oh.
Yuck, he wasn't a great Marius.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Love the catchy tunes and insightful discussions on Musical Lyrical Lingo? Why would you not? Now you can reap your fandom. Ooh, we've got fans. And show off your love of all things musical theatre with our exclusive merchandise. Ooh.
From comfy tees,
T-shirts,
mugs to stylish tote bags, we have something for every fan. Our designs are inspired by the show's iconic themes.
because we are so iconic.
And featured playful quotes, alpha, and graphics that will have you humming along
I will never work again.
wherever you go.
So head over to our merch store now and start shopping. Spend your money, people. And don't forget to share your pics on our social media using #podcast Musical Lyrical Lingo merch. We love to see our fans rocking our gear.
Yes, we do. Happy shopping. I thought it was okay.
A heart full of love.
That's a terrible song anyway.
Don't you dare, Cameron might be listening.
Well, I haven't said the musical's terrible. I just said that's a terrible
That's okay,
song.
but still. Le Belle.
Okay. Yeah, it was released, and I had something else, but just there's very exciting things happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's lots of new little. These concerts seem to be very popular.
Yeah, and here, Broadway is awash with new musicals at the moment.
So let's see what was all nominated there: Water for Elephants, Great Gatsby,
Yeah.
The Outsiders,
Yep.
Hell's Kitchen,
Something about Illinois. Something Illinois.
Oh, I haven't heard that one.
It won Best Choreography, I think.
Um,
Loads. Absolutely loads of new musicals. That Water for Elephants really intrigues me because I adored that film.
Never seen it.
Oh, Lauren, you've got to watch it. You'd
Really?
love it. Oh, yeah, it's brilliant. And Robert Pattinson's in it, and he's amazing. He's really good. Because I think that was one of the first things that he did outside
After
of the whole Twilight, where people went, oh, he's really good. He's not just a wee vampire.
Okay. Yeah,
But anyway.
quite a lot. And I didn't realise Hell's Kitchen was loosely based on Alicia Keys' life.
And I presume it's her music, isn't it, that she's done it? So it's like almost like a life story and uses her music.
I don't know if he uses all of her music, but yeah, it does use her music.
She did sing in New York
At the Tonys.
at the Tonys.
And she brought Jay-Z on.
Interesting. I mean, he doesn't really have any affiliation to the Broadway world.
Well, in that song.
Yeah, fair.
originally.
That's fair. It's fair enough, huh?
Yeah.
Daniel Radcliffe
Daniel.
now has a Tony.
I know, merrily we roll
He
along.
can get started on the EGOT.
He can.
Can't he now? He doesn't have any of the others, I don't think.
No, I know, that's what I was just going to say.
But sure, he's got a Tony. The T is often what people really struggle with.
True.
He started with the hardest one first. I do really like him.
Oh, I love him.
On stage, I thought he was absolutely brilliant in
How to
Succeed in Business
Yeah, I
Without
thought he
Trying.
was great too.
Yeah, really good.
Especially because I read somewhere, now I could be completely wrong, I read that he has dyspraxia.
That's right.
Yeah, so even I remember him doing How to Succeed in Business Without Even Trying, and being, my gosh, he's performing really well.
Yeah.
And I think from there to Merrily We Roll Along, there's been a massive improvement.
But he's also grown up, hasn't he? That there's
Exactly.
quite a few years between the two.
But I think that was a very special production, and I think what she
Yeah.
did, Maria Friedman, isn't that right?
Yes.
She was, I think she's great too.
But she's Sondheim to the bones.
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
100%.
Sondheim is in her blood. So
even
the
though
fact that she's
people will
directing
know
it,
her as the narrator in Joseph,
that's
the
true.
Johnny Osmond film.
Well, it just was announced. I think I literally saw on Instagram just before this episode that apparently the Broadway revival of Merrily I Roll Along is going to be recorded.
But it's finished.
Is it? Well, it's been recorded, so.
Oh,
Are you sure it's finished?
yeah, pretty sure it's finished.
Is it over?
Yeah.
Really?
See, it was like that Guttenberg one that was like,
Oh, it
Josh
looked
Gad,
really
yeah.
good.
and that other, the Titanic one.
Oh, yes. Titanic or something.
Yes.
It's coming to London, I think.
And that looks like, yeah. Anyway, yeah, there's
That
loads.
just looks like a piss take, though.
I know. Yeah.
You leave my sling alone. It's too high.
Yeah.
Anyway, shall we move? Tangent. Shall we move on
Your
to...
dad will be rolling his eyes.
Doesn't listen anymore. Shall we move on to today's musical treat?
I mean, that's an interesting choice. Treat. Yeah.
Oh, flip, it's going to be one of these episodes, is it?
I mean, it's a very funny one, this musical.
It holds a really special place in my heart as a little boy.
Okay.
As a little tiny boy.
Yeah, this
You're
musical.
not a fan?
No, I'm not a fan. I'm just.
But you're just not
Well, I've got lots of
shoot you in from the
connections to it.
rafters.
It's a funny one.
It is funny. Do you know what? There are elements of it that feel unfinished.
Oh, yes.
Do you know what I mean? But even with that, I still really like it.
Feels rushed as well, but then that could be just the sense of the train and the movement.
Hint, hint.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about
Oh my gosh.
Starlight Express. Your sister's phoning you.
I'm just gonna cancel that. I wrote.
When she listens to the episode, she'll be like, "Oh, that was that time my phone she didn't pick up."
I know.
But she's just ruined the big reveal.
I know.
We're doing Starlight Express today, and I was singing it so beautifully.
You were?
It's another wee ALW job.
It is, and I mean, it's one
Andrew
that
Lloyd Webber, in case anyone's going ALW.
It's well known, but then not well known. People, I think, will definitely know the name Starlight Express, but maybe won't necessarily know the music or the storyline.
That is
they'll
fair.
maybe know that it's Andrew Lloyd Webber's one that he did about trains.
True.
But they'll not maybe know much about it.
It is quite fascinating when you look into it, though.
I learned so much and I loved it.
So did I, yeah. So, when late Andrew Lloyd Webber... Oh, sorry, when
Did you say late?
I know, when... Oh, jeez, he's still alive. That's awful. I was reading my notes wrong. When composer Andrew Lloyd Webber became a father in late 1970s. Whoops. He was keen to write a musical for his children based on the stories of Reverend W. Aldrey,
yes.
about Thomas the Tank Engine and his locomotive friends. Now, when I was a little boy,
Yeah.
there were two things I loved in life.
What was that?
Three. Three things I loved in life.
Yeah.
Noddy, the little man portrayed a yellow car. And Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman
Did you just say there was
Pat,
two things
and
you
his very
loved?
black cat. Three.
Oh, right.
And then...
I was going to say.
Do 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 ba do 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 ba do ba do do. Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yep.
I bet you couldn't have sung the theme tune to Thomas the Tank Engine. I think actually my wee brother loved Thomas the Tank Engine even more than I did.
Aww.
But yeah, so I mean, blowing my mind. I should have made the link, but I didn't realise that was what he was kind of wanting to base his musical on. Like, you know, he was inspired by Thomas the Tank Engine. However, uncomfortable with the idea, Aldrey refused Andrew Lloyd Webber permission to adopt his books into a musical.
Yeah, very odd though.
Yeah, well, Andrew Lloyd Webber devised new characters and wrote his own train story based on a Cinderella style scenario. So Rusty, the steam engine is the put upon steam engine is determined to shine. Greaseball and Electra are bullying futuristic locomotives, and Starlight Express is a fairy godmother figure. I think maybe I'm just getting a wee bit tired here. I'm really struggling at the moment with the late Andrew Lloyd Webber and then the godmother finger that we all know so well. Having proved his musicals, just take over.
So I think what you're trying to say, having proved that adding animation or bringing non-human things to life.
You're so making this up just to cover my back.
Know, that's what I was trying to...
Oh, thank you so much.
Is that
I
what
don't
you were trying to
actually
say?
know what I was trying to say.
Proved a success. He ran with that.
Oh, yes, he runs with most things. No, what I was going to say was, having proved his musical touch with Cats, Trevor Nunn was brought on board once again as director, because we know from our Cats episode that he came on board and was quite pivotal in the success of Cats. So he came on board for this. Arlene Phillips, better known for her risque routines with TV dance troupe Hot Gossip, was entrusted with the task of creating choreography for a skating cast. Interestingly, she once stated, "I was determined that whatever one could do on feet as a dancer, one could do it on skates, and there is a lot you can do on skates that you couldn't possibly do on your feet.
Oh,
She is ruthlessly fabulous.
Isn't she? And I cannot believe when we spoke about this at the Oliviers, that was
Yeah.
the first time she's won an Olivier Award.
I don't understand how she didn't win an Olivier for choreographing roller skating. Like, that's mental.
I know, isn't it?
So weird. So, yeah. And then now firmly in his post-Tim Rice phase, Andrew Lloyd Webber turned to the clever and witty Richard Stilgoe to solve his lyricist problem. Because you know the way Andrew Lloyd Webber was having a problem finding a lyricist at that time.
Yeah.
Stilgoe had also contributed to helping come up with the words for memory in Cats, and helped with Jellicle songs for Jellicle Cats. So a similar team, really, wasn't it, to the Cat?
Yeah.
The Cat posse.
And a similar era, which kind of maybe helped the success of it as well. So, like you said, 3 field projects combined together then to make Starlight Express. So that was originally the Railway Trains of 1976, Engine of Many Colours, and then Lloyd Webber wrote a hit song called Engine of Love, because a singer, and his name escapes me, could sing 3 notes at once, which kind of sounded like
a train.
But it didn't all, sort of satisfy that need.
How can you sing 3 notes at once?
I know, but such a talented man.
Yeah.
So I watched a documentary.
No.
I did.
Here, there's bound to be really good ones, is there, of like behind the scenes?
So Wait in the Wings do one about how Broadway production of Starlight Express failed.
Yes, I was going to come on to that, yeah.
But he mentions that, which we spoke about a little bit in the Cats, in 1981, a lot in pop culture was driven by MTV and MTV music television video. It then became less about the lyrics and the music and more about fashion, the dramatics, and this really influenced musical theatre.
Okay.
And this is where we get the start of Cats, which was the very first mega musical.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, actors playing trains on skates, which then became one of the most dangerous shows in history.
Yeah.
So according to Wait in the Wings, there are 5 components for defining a mega musical, which Starlight Express is one of those. Number 1, plots are often big and epic. And they often feature the themes of love, war, or redemption.
Yeah.
So if we think of Miss Saigon, Les Mis, Cats, all of those. Number 2, there is little to no spoken word.
Yeah.
Number 3, the sets are big.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Number 4, there is a marketing plan. Which we have never seen before in musical theatre.
Yeah.
And 5, critics tend to hate them.
Yes, that's very true. Yeah.
Isn't that a great sort of thing to go by? As you had said about Stilgoe being part of this team now, John Napier was also back, and we mentioned sets there.
Yeah.
So he was there for the design aspect of it and the sets. And did I tell you that I met John Napier and Trevor Nunn?
No.
I know, I forgot to mention that in our Cats episode.
When? How?
When I was performing in the National. And they were...
Sorry. When I was performing in the National, I love how you just dropped it. I met Trevor Nunn and John Napier when I was performing in the National. Darling. Do continue. I love how you just casually went, when I was performing in the National. Sorry, what? Mic drop. Boom. So, tell us more.
I was performing in the National, and after one of my performances, they were doing an audience with, and I was there.
Oh, nice. And were they as interesting in person as their work?
Yeah, I'd say. I felt like Trevor Nunn had a lot of time for us. I was a teenager at the time.
Yeah.
And
Very good.
Yeah, anyway.
Well, yeah, he, as you said, John Napier was a designer of cats, and he, for Starlight Express, designed a remarkable set in the Apollo Victoria Theatre, which had to be specially modified. Like, it's always interesting when the theatre itself has to be modified to house a new musical. Skating tracks would dissect the audience and sweep through them and around the theatre from the dress circle down to the stalls. There was and this was probably the most extraordinary aspect of the production, that went all out to present a dazzling spectacle previously unseen in theatre. It also meant the all-important races. So the train races, which we'll maybe get onto when we get onto the plot, had that 360-degree experience. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you were sitting amongst the action, which was really cool. With technical challenges of set, costume and special effects, however, mounting, the costs escalated to £2.25 million. So he knew how to spend money, did Aaron Napier? Did he say that in his chat?
But
in
also,
the theatre.
he was the one that came up with it being roller skates and not skateboards.
Okay.
So he was walking in what do you call the park in New York City?
Central
Park, and originally they had thought about skateboards.
Yeah.
And then it was somebody went past him in roller skates.
Yeah.
And then he felt, okay,
This
that looked
would work.
more like a train.
Yeah.
And it was more childlike.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And roller skating was much more popular in America than it was in Britain at the time.
Yeah.
Well, whenever we talk about a wee bit later on, I'll go into that. But yeah, so he sort of came up with the skating. So I think that's where he was able to incorporate the skating into his set design then.
Yeah.
Because he could see it happening.
Yeah. So basically the plot, for anybody who doesn't know, it's kind of in the mind of a child.
Yes.
Called Control. So this is Control. This is, I wanted to be Control.
Oh, okay. I could see that, yeah.
I was like, oh my goodness, how cool. Now, in the original, you didn't see Control. It was just a voiceover.
Yes.
You only heard it, which I think added to it. Now, we'll maybe get onto, because it's just had its latest revival. And let's be honest, it's not revived very often because of the sheer scale required. It has just opened in London again. And the Troubadour, isn't that
so.
new, like, complexy theatre that was kind of built just before Newsies went in, and and I've seen like some curtain call footage.
Yeah, it's just had some previews.
Yeah, and they have children actors as Control.
Yeah,
I don't know how that works. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But in the original, you only hear Control's voice. This is Control. It's race time. And basically, it's a story about a competition of the different trains racing, and there being a winner at the end.
That's it.
But they raced around you in the auditorium, which is kind of really very cool.
Yeah, and
there's not much more to the story than that.
Just
really.
like Cats was, leg warmers, leotards, makeup, and it was actors being actual cats. This was unique because it was actors being trains on skates.
Yeah.
And these were actors on skates. These weren't skaters.
Nope.
Performing. So there's this whole thing called skate school.
Yeah, that's right.
And in the West End production of Starlight Express, their moves obviously were choreographed, a movement class by Arlene. It was she still oversaw it in Broadway, but they actually brought in a skater in Broadway. Yeah. So the moves were much more complex on Broadway.
Okay.
And they were faster.
Interesting.
And because they were on skates, they actually had to choreograph accidents so that when they do naturally fall, the audience are desensitized to a fall. Yeah. And that's okay. So you'll see accidents.
Yeah.
and you don't know if
Because
it's
it's a
real.
normal thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So the productions always send new cast members to the special skate school for 4 weeks prior to them then starting the rehearsals for the show.
Yeah.
So they got a like almost graduate skate school to kind of then get into the cast.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is very cool. There is a famous Spice Girl that graduated
that's
out
right.
of skate school. Do you know who it was? You do, don't you?
I do. Go for
I didn't think you'd find this fact. Scary Spice Mel B was once a member of the skate school.
Yeah.
I don't know if she ever really got. Did she ever?
No,
go
I don't
into
think.
the...
No, she didn't go into it.
Interesting. But listen, Starlight Express has choo-chooed around the world, hasn't it?
Oh my goodness!
It's been everywhere.
So, like you said, it started in Apollo Victoria Theatre. It was in Las Vegas in the Hilton Hotel from 1993 to 97. Obviously, it was in Broadway in 82, 84, and 84. Sorry, and where is it?
You're a chancer because you don't know how to say it.
Oh no, in Germany. I just was going to say it.
But Bochum.
Oh, right, okay, I wasn't gonna say that.
Bochum.
And what's special about the fact that it's in Germany?
I didn't really know that. I was like, interesting place to have Starlight Express because it's been there for a long time.
Is it from 1999 or 1989? I think it's 1999.
Yes, 1999. It's
And they have
1989.
most successful in Germany with a purpose-built theatre since 1988.
Oh, 1988. It's been seen by well over 10 million people. In the region of over 16 million people have seen Starlight Express worldwide, with a box office grossing more than £352 million. Now, the London run, which opened, as you said, in the London Apollo Victoria Theatre, which is where Wicked is now, opened in March 1984 and ran past the 18-year mark, closing in January 2002 after 7,409 performances.
The 9th longest West End show.
Mental.
Isn't it?
Yeah, but you know what? Like, to have to rebuild parts of the theatre to house it, you would have hoped it was going to stick around, wouldn't you?
Well, that's it too. But each production since 1984 has been reinvented, rewritten, rearranged and restaged. So you're never quite seeing
the same.
And the show, now I'm assuming Germany's is set.
I think Germany's is probably the closest now there is to the original, I think.
Yeah.
And like you go from those 7,409 performances in London to the 761 performances in Broadway.
I know.
It opened in 1987 and like it didn't run for a very long time. It is just interesting, isn't it, how one side of the world can receive something so differently.
They felt like it should have landed better in America because, like I said, they were more into their skating. But I think it was just too much for them. I'm just not too sure. The royal family really got on board in West End. They were actually one of the first guests to see it whenever it opened. But also they feel a reason why it didn't succeed in Broadway was Andrew Lloyd Webber had taken his attention off it and was focused on Phantom.
Okay. Yeah, he had moved on.
On. And really, Andrew Lloyd Webber, as you had said at the beginning, had started this project for his children. Yeah. And he wanted to create a show a bit like Joseph that could go into schools. And I think as it got bigger and bigger, it was no longer his original idea. Yeah. And it wasn't, even though some school and community groups I know of have done it. Yeah. But it was no longer what he thought it was. So I think that's whenever it went to Broadway, he kind of had a real excuse to take his eye off the ball because it wasn't what he had envisaged.
Or he just got carried away with, he'd probably started the infancies of Phantom, and then it really hooked him. According to Really Useful Grip, a postman called Alan Newman saw the musical 250 times.
What?
Always sitting in the same seat, L23, in the stalls. And he has estimated that combined costs of his tickets reached around £21,000. Imagine spending that amount of money on the same show.
Well, you've probably spent that on shows over the years.
Yes, but not the same show, Lauren. Not the same show. And the other interesting fact that I found out, we know that Andrew Lloyd Webber's company is called the Really Useful Grip. Do you know why?
No.
It's named after Thomas the Tank Engine's ultimate accolade, a really useful engine.
Oh, he really loves trains.
Isn't that really cool though? And you know, I've wondered that for years, because I just kind of think it's a really
odd,
bizarre name for a production company. The Really Useful Grip. Like, and you would go, where's the theatre link there, or the relevance to theatre?
There you go.
There you go.
Wow. See, you learned something on this podcast.
Learned something new. Do you know what I did learn from this musical?
What?
Is that basically a musical can really be based on anything. I mean, we had cats, then we had trains. I was like, thank God Phantom came next, actually, because goodness knows what he would have
What else he would have made a human.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure people looked at him and went, is he on the drugs?
I know.
At the moment?
Yeah, cats and trains.
Cats and trains. No, actually what I did learn was, I've mentioned this word a couple of times already, locomotive. Mm-hmm. And there is a song called A Lot of Locomotive, or Motion, isn't it? Locomotion, yeah. But I didn't know at the time. Now, also bear in mind, this is one of these musicals I came to quite early.
Okay, yeah.
And became obsessed with the musical. So I didn't know what a locomotive was. A locomotive, or an engine, is a rail transport vehicle that provides a motive power for a train. So it's a self-propelled vehicle that runs on rails or is used for moving railroad cars. Originates from the Latin loco, which means from a place, and the medieval Latin motivus, motivus, which means causing motion.
Oh, okay. Very in-depth there.
Thank you.
I just had, it was an act or power of moving from place to place. So, aka to travel.
I just like to sound like I'm an academic sometimes. That's all it is. Okay.
I love it. Can I go back? Well, we think I found one little fun fact. Do you know
fact?
On Broadway, whenever Equity were coming to do their checks, they decided that the actors didn't need any extra danger pay as they looked like experienced skaters, which in fact is hilarious because the set was very difficult in Broadway and the actors ended up overheating because of their safety costumes, and the large space that they had to skate in at high speed was a concern. Isn't that hilarious?
Well, I mean, if you were to rank musicals via risk or danger, you would think Starlight Express would be kind of up near the top of that list, right?
But Equity was like, nah, you don't need any extra pay.
Don't. And that's funny because Equity normally does fight for more pay for actors. Isn't that bizarre?
So, musical lingos. I know you started there and then
I think your CJ's tapping upstairs. I hear...
I think it's the dog tap dancing.
Oh, is it? He's good. Sorry, she. Sign her up.
So Rusty, we've already mentioned, is our main character.
Yeah.
And they are trying to impress Pearl.
Pearl, the one of the carts. Yeah. So
in Call Me Rusty, he says, fetch the coaches from the marshalling yard.
Yeah.
And the marshalling yard is a railroad facility where cars, which are those little trains all put together, cars are sorted and assembled into trains according to their destination.
Yes.
So they only become trains when they're all those little cars
Isn't
are
that
put
interesting?
together.
Yeah, because in a lot of locomotion, they talk about the different types of coaches or cars, as you say. So
Yeah.
you've got Ashley, who was the smoking coach or car. You wouldn't get that now.
So this is something else. The names are so clever.
Okay.
So Ashley is the smoking car, aka Ash for smoke.
Oh, I never thought about that. Then you've got Buffy, the service car.
For the buffet.
Yep. Dinah, the dining car.
So like diner.
Yeah. Now, Pearl. Do we know what Pearl is? Because she just says, "My name is Pearl. I'm the brand new girl. My springs still bounce and my fans still whirl."
Because she's the first class passenger.
Oh,
And that's why
she's a
she's
Pearl.
called Pearl.
Clever, clever, clever.
Yeah, so aren't the names Greaseball?
Very clever.
Also, his character isn't the nicest.
Yeah, he's a
And
greaseball.
he's a greaser.
Yeah.
Rusty, obviously,
Because he's a wee bit rusty
he's
and
a
not.
wee bit rusty and not.
He's up against it like he is the underdog in the race.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got CB or Caboose.
Which I've got loads of musical lyrical lingos for him later.
And that was it. That was
Can I
all
go
have.
back to Call Me
Yeah.
Rusty? Because
Yeah.
at the beginning of that number, he sings, "Woo, woo, woo, woo. Nobody can do it like a steam train." So I just felt I needed to do that because
that was
one of
beautiful.
the first parts I was like, I could play that. I could play Rusty. But do you know that melody, this blew my mind, is adapted from Earl Gordon's song Engine of Love?
That's who I'm talking about.
There we go.
Earl.
He has three.
He can sing three
I have it
notes
on my
at once.
Spotify. We'll listen to it at the end, and we'll
So-
listen to the three. So "Engine of Love" is actually the oldest song in Starlight Express, having been written in 1977
Yes.
as a concept recording to promote Andrew Lloyd Webber's idea of doing a musical with trains, and it was first heard on stage on Broadway in 1987, and then it was ripped from the show.
Yeah.
And the only thing that's left is that intro.
Yeah.
Ooh, ooh, and parts of Call Me Rusty.
Isn't that
Interesting.
Yeah, so interesting.
I agree.
I did look more whenever I was doing this at the original songs.
Okay.
So I know that there's a lot of songs that either have changed names since then, have been
Yeah.
cut. There's some songs which have been included, but that's just full disclosure
Yeah.
there. I looked at the original.
Because they did bring in Dawn. It was Dawn Black, wasn't it? Yeah. Later
Oh, yes.
reworking
Yeah,
of
yeah,
the musical saw a new song written by the then in favour lyricist Dawn Black. So yeah, he was brought
Did
in.
he do
And then-
Sunset?
Yes, and then he became kind of Andrew Lloyd Webber's new favourite lyricist for quite a while. He
Yeah.
did quite a few bits and pieces with him. Yeah, so that was his first entry into the Andrew Lloyd Webber arena, so to speak. Yeah.
So a bit like how Richard had come in with Cats and then
Yeah.
stayed for this.
Yeah.
Right, interesting.
As a kid, like, this also kind of taught me about the different types of trains, the fact that they make a real thing about the competition between diesel trains, electric trains. So like Greaseball's a diesel train, Electra is electric, and then we've talked about the steam trains, you know, and I thought, oh, that's really kind of cool, because as a wee boy, you don't really think about that.
Absolutely.
Pumpin' Iron
Yes.
is Greaseball's song, and he sings, as you say, he is a bit of a greaseball, a bit of a bully. He says, "Listen to that chatter of the diesel force generating 2,700 horse."
Yeah.
So Greaseball is a Union Pacific diesel engine, and these are the largest diesel engines. He also sings "Stretching My Bull Worker."
It's a very interesting innuendo song.
Yeah, yes, there's quite a lot of innuendo throughout this musical,
Yes.
like big time. But a bull worker was actually a fitness device, specializing in isometric exercises invented by Gert F. Kuhlbell. And throughout the 60s to the 80s, the device was popular amongst personal fitness advocates. Now, apparently you can still go online and buy a bull worker today. It's like kind of like with you know those
Bands.
yeah, like the bands, but it's obviously a bit more of a device. But basically, it is about like pulling like resistant bands out. That was like what a bill worker was. Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah. So also that I had that generating 2,700 horse. So horsepower is speed.
Yeah.
So yeah,
he was fast as well as being a brute.
That's right. He was. In piston.
Excuse you?
Piston stroking.
Excuse you.
That's what I mean.
That's it, is an innuendo. 1000%.
So that's in pumping iron too, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So a piston stroke is the movement of the piston within the cylinder of an engine of a train.
Those are like those wee pole things that go in and out at the side of a train.
Yeah, but that is definitely piston stroker.
Definitely a wee innuendo.
The song There's Me.
There's Me.
Oh, it's maybe a wee bit far on down, but I just have a wee note here. There's Me. I can totally hear Phantoms. Think of me.
1000%. 1000.
Yeah.
But Andrew Lloyd Webber does this all the time.
I know.
It's like you hear bits of the soon to be Jesus Christ Superstar in Joseph at the end when Joseph comes to Egypt. Like, you know, he just kind of takes wee dollops.
Yeah, he does.
And throws them in, doesn't he?
And speaking of that, because then this leads me on to Rolling Stock.
Rolling stock. Rolling stock.
See that? Whoa. Right. See that part there? It reminds me of whoa. I gotta go
back to school.
That was terrible.
Oh, I love Grease too.
100%.
Yeah.
You listen to that and you can hear.
You can hear it.
You can hear, but even though that's not the same composer, but it's just really interesting that there's some influences of the 80s must be there. AC/DC.
AC/DC. Let's talk about it. So that's Electra, the Electric Trains song.
So AC/DC, I know AC/DC because it is an Australian rock band.
Yeah.
My dad loves them, and I've obviously grown up listening to them. My husband loves them too. So, but AC/DC is actually an alternating current.
Yeah.
/ direct current.
They sing AC/DC, it's alright by me. I can switch and change my frequency.
Okay,
that was really good.
That was really good. And I'm just going to say there's nothing to do with what you just sang there. But I think that song should be played if you want to torture somebody.
I think it's a great song.
I can't stand that song.
I think it's
that
brilliant.
Song is horrific.
No,
it is
I love it. But that's the point. He's supposed... Sorry, I shouldn't even say he, because there's a bit of a like, what is Electra? Even in the original, you kind of got that feeling.
Which is really interesting because now in like modern language, AC/DC means bisexual.
Yes, that's it.
How so
interesting. But
did that come from there, or did that come from just the fact that it's AC/DC? You know, like what? It's just, and then with that character could be played either way,
which we might come on to later on when we maybe talk about the revival.
Yes.
Okay. So AC/DC stands for alternating current or direct current, the two ways to deliver electricity. And Electra is boasting that he can deliver electricity in two different ways.
Yeah.
So switch, right? He also sings, they sing, I can reach up and pluck down the lightning, which I thought was a really clever lyric because electric trains get their power from overhead wires.
Yeah.
So hence reaching up.
Yeah.
Like, just really clever. Yeah. Really, really clever. I love AC/DC because I like that. It's almost like alien quality.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
That. It makes me feel uncomfortable. That's why
Have you ever seen it?
Oh, yes.
You have seen it?
Yes.
Did you not think the staging of that number was really class, though?
Can't really remember it.
And he flies in from the roof down, and then he does really quick spins, and then he's got like a LED panel on his costume that like starts to light like, oh my, and he's got a big mohawk, and he's like red and blue and silver. I love it.
Torture.
Freight. Can we talk about Freight for a minute?
Oh, but in that song they mention
AC/DC.
Yeah, Armin's truck, an Armin Like, just means arms for guns.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, anyway.
Oh.
Yes, freight.
Freight
Go for it.
is
I have
great.
this.
We carry weight
It's my stomach.
because we are freight.
Oh, yeah, I like that song.
Yeah. They also say it basically teaches what freight is, and when you're like at 7, 8, 9-year-old boy, you don't know what freight is.
Yeah.
And you also don't realise, trains actually carry this stuff around the around the place.
And there's different uses for different trains,
completely.
for different products,
And they sing, we take the loads from off the roads.
I
was
love
like,
it.
so clever.
Love it.
The lyrics are really clever.
are.
And they explain very clearly what each train is, what each train does.
But I think that's why it works,
Yeah,
is because
so clever.
each train is given time to explain who they are, because it could be quite confusing with, and it could also not have much of a storyline.
And one of my favourite lyrics is, travelling with gravelling.
Yeah.
Gravel's got the right to travel. I love it. And then there's the Rockies, who are like hip-hoppy kind of freight cars, right? And they sing, only time we get sick inside is when some bum hitches a ride.
Love it.
So box cars were common methods for homeless or bums in this case to sneak onto for quick transportation, when box cars were meant for general goods, not passengers.
Yes.
Clever. Really clever.
I know, yeah. I felt like that going through it all was like, this is kind of a lesson in trains, and if you were a train enthusiast,
could you imagine? You would be freaking out.
Yeah, must be an amazing musical to just be like, wow, how clever.
I mean, and I'll be honest with you, I never really thought of trains being interesting. I mean, I'm amazed actually after seeing Starlight Express at such an early age how I didn't become a train fanatic.
I know.
Like train watcher. That's a bit weird. Okay, we'll move on. No offence to train watchers or plane watchers.
No. So CB, which I mentioned earlier.
CB.
Okay, so it's now known as Wide Smile, or did it change to that for Broadway?
Yeah, so CB is a really interesting character. I think they kind of put it in for a villain.
Yes, because
in a way,
Grace Ball is technically the villain.
He's a bully.
Okay, yeah.
I would say he's a bully.
But CB has been playing along like he's Rusty's friend.
Yeah.
And then this is the moment in the story where he sort of tells the audience, breaks that fourth wall, and you go, he's going to sabotage the race. So,
like literally CB, the CB song, which is sung by Caboose, or the Red Caboose, it basically details how CB purposely allows brakes to fail, making the trains it's attached to crash.
Yes.
And as a kid, I didn't understand CB's song at all.
Right, okay.
So this was really interesting because it made me have to revisit it many years later.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, as much as I loved it as a kid, I haven't listened to the soundtrack of Starlight Express
for
a very long time. And as you said, actually modernising it, or the new versions that there had been, each one, this song was actually removed.
Yeah.
And the character became more and more reduced.
Yes. So I'm not sure if it's in
the new one. It would be interesting to see,
And I think part of those lines are actually just given to Grace Ball now.
Aye, fair. Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense.
And it's weird.
I suppose that happens in redevelopment.
Yeah, because I always remember also, like, it wasn't even a character, and then it came in quite late in the show. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was almost like they were introducing this new character.
Yes, true.
And that's why I kind of thought, it's like a villain. It's like
like an undercurrent.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was only when I started to research it that a lot of the lines now make sense, whereas it totally went over my head.
But it just shows you how clever it was.
Yeah, in CB they sing, every time the red caboose takes a train. A caboose is a crude North American railroad car. coupled at the end of a freight train, and it provides accommodation for the train crew, typically attached at the end of the train. He sings, hiding at the back of the freight train, unsuspected, when they robbed the great train I collected, while the feds shake their heads, I'm on the loose, there each time at the scene of the crime, the red caboose.
That's it.
And that's reference to the Great Train Robbery, where in August 1963, organised group of individuals in the UK managed to steal an entire train directly off the tracks.
How does that happen?
I know, exactly. And this robbery has been greatly romanticised as one of the greatest, train heists there's ever been. He then sings in another verse, the state police, they don't suspect, I get old 97 wrecked. And the wreck of old 97 was an American rail disaster from 1903, where a mail train derailed into a ravine after gaining too much speed going downhill, killing 11 and injuring 7.
Oh.
So really clever, but like at the time it was completely over my head. I had no idea what he was on about. And then the last one from this number, he sings, Interpol don't know that I crossed the bridge of the River Kwai.
Yes.
And obviously the bridge on the River Kwai is the most famously an epic war film based on the construction of the Burma Railway, ending with the bridge exploding, sending the train into the river. And so all of those, periods where something's gone wrong or there's been a crash, Caboose was saying, I was there, but they didn't see me.
Also, those are periods of time where train was really heavily used for moving, shipping goods, transport, all of that stuff. So it was just interesting that that's their time periods that trains would be massive in.
But it blew my mind, to be honest, researching it. For a number that went so unnoticed when I first was introduced to this musical. Now, as an adult, I'm going,
super clever.
That's so clever. Super clever. Really, really well done. I don't know if I still would be of the opinion. I don't know if you need that character of CB
for such a short period of time.
I also learnt in Uncoupling how to spell. Very funny. Basically, Dinah has been unhitched from a train, as well as no longer being with her boyfriend Greaseball, so she's uncoupled.
She is.
But in the number she spells it, I've been used UNCOUPLED, and then she goes on to sing and spell lots of other things like crying and revenge. And then at the end she spells out
a naughty word.
BASTARD. And I, as a child, that's not okay. Is it?
No.
Now, I think, as you've said many times with rewrites, that has been removed, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Is that song even still in some of the rewrites?
I'm not sure if it is still in it.
Yeah.
It's also very similar to DIVORCE, the country song.
Yes.
And I think it sounds really like there's one more angel in heaven. Just elements of it.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it's got a wee bit of a country and western twang, doesn't it?
And I think it's a bit like in Joseph, there's one or two wee songs which just kind of sit out. I think that Uncoupled just kind of sits out.
Yeah.
For me.
Fair enough.
It's not quite, apart from Torture Song, doesn't quite fit in with the rest. I
suppose when you look at this and you think of anthem songs, Starlight Express probably has two. Starlight Express, the number itself. Exactly. And then the finale number, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
We did that in a panto once, didn't we?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I do recall it.
Yeah.
They sing it. Do you have any from Light at the End of the Tunnel?
No.
I have. It's The Power of James Watt, the Steaming Great Scott. Making reference to James Watt, the Scottish engineer. Amongst his many innovations, he's greatly improved the efficiency of the Newcomb steam engine.
Oh, clever.
And we just sang that and didn't realise what we were singing, did we?
No, definitely not.
So there we go. There's my musical lyrical lingos.
Yeah, there's
Have you done yours? All yours done?
Yeah, all mine are done.
Fabulous.
All mine are done, aren't they?
Really good.
Yeah.
More to it. I actually went, I don't know if I'm going to get too many musical lyrical lingos from this. Other than what I learnt about trains and the different types of trains. But it was only then when you start to read into it, you're like, oh, clever, clever. And then when I got to CB, honestly, it blew my mind, that song. That I so overlooked it. Anyway, I'm not going to go on about it anymore.
I was glad to revisit it.
Me too.
Because I probably listened to not the whole soundtrack, but definitely some songs out of it for a long time whenever I was younger.
Yeah.
But apart from a couple of them, I was like, I really like this music, and I've always loved Starlight Express. I've always loved Light at the End of the Tunnel. I've always liked the end of Act 1 as well. Yeah. And I just have kind of liked Rusty. I kind of liked that underdog story. Yeah. So,
and there's some lovely songs we haven't even mentioned just because we didn't have any musical lyrical lingos, like He Whistled at Me. Yeah. You know, just brilliant. Some really lovely songs.
There are. It seems to have been a very, lots of people that were attached to it loved it. So your guy, Lon Stanton, he played Papa. Which is sometimes either a male or a female character now.
Well, it's female.
Yes.
In the new revival. Yes, but Mama.
He started playing that role when he was 55 and he was 68 whenever he finished.
Isn't that lovely?
That's a lovely thing, isn't it? A long time to be part of a company.
That's it. And I think a lot of people who have been involved in it then are now kind of on the creative side and have been involved in the Germany production and various different ones. I follow Michael, someone who I think was an Electra at some point, and he's now a choreographer. That's what he does, and I think he has been involved in
that's lovely.
Yeah, I just think it's really lovely. It's like there's a family kind of thing to it, isn't there?
Yeah, I think that is. I suppose because they're learning a new skill and they're doing so much, and there is a risk element to it as well.
I just think it's a really fun and interesting show to be involved in. Yeah. One of my memories of it and how I actually got to see it for the first time was, you mentioned earlier about you performing in the National, but I actually played Michael in Peter Pan the Pantomime one Christmas.
We're flipping obsessed with the Tinkerbell, Emma.
Yes, Dottie. Yeah. So, do you know what it was, right? Don't get jealous. You did one. Were you in that panto? Were you one of the babes?
I was helping backstage.
How were you helping backstage?
There was no licenses back then. My mum was chaperoning.
Oh, and you just came up with your mum? Fair enough. But
because my sister was in it.
Ah, okay. So your sister was in it. But so the babes would have done one at that time. They just did one show a day. And then went home. They either did a matinee or they did an evening. They didn't do both. Yeah. But you see, the Michael and the John, we did both shows on the day and then got a day off. Do you know what I mean? How it is now, actually. So our schedules were different, which meant we were in the theatre the whole day. Yes. So we couldn't go anywhere after the matinee before the evening. And I just got Dottie was so lovely and was almost like a wee mummy to us, do you know what I mean? She showed an interest in us, she included us, she had us up to her dress, just really lovely, really lovely girl. And it was whilst she was playing Tinkerbell, and our Tinkerbell was on roller skates, she got cast in Starlight Express in the West End.
I thought she was in Starlight before that. No. I thought that's why she was on skates.
No, so she got cast in it. Oh. So she got word while she was in Belfast in Peter Pan that she had got it. She got the part.
Okay.
So then what she started doing between shows is setting up wee obstacle courses for herself on the stage. And she would have, like, you know, jumped over tin cans and, like, you know, just to get herself ready, because she was going straight from Belfast to the skate school.
Okay.
To train.
Oh, I did not know that. I knew that she was in Starlight Express. I knew that you seen her, but I didn't know. I thought that she was in it and then had gone back to it.
No, that was her.
Strange, though, that they put Tinkerbell on skates that year.
Do you know what? It's probably one of those things that in her audition, she was like, I can skate, you know. And was that a thing? Maybe it might have been a thing that Tinkerbells were on skates. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows?
I remember watching something else when one of the actors was in skates, but she had been in Starlight, something. So that's why.
Well, no, so Dottie then went to Starlight. So then she was in London, Victoria, and we stayed in contact because, like, she was so lovely and giving of her time. And I pestered my parents. I was like, please can we go and see Dottie? Please can we go and see? So we went and we saw it, and she played Jewel. Okay. And she was one of Electra's gang. Mm-hmm. One of her, so I think they called them Electra's components, maybe. Okay. And obviously, as we've said, like the ramps and the racetrack as such go around the whole of the theatre. So obviously, and there was also like wee arches as well and bridges that they went under. So at the interval, because I think she also arranged the tickets, like where we were sitting.
Oh, okay.
So at the interval then, all I heard was, psst, Tim. And she was basically hiding in under the arch or the bridge where nobody could see.
Oh, wow.
But was like, you know, like waving at me and stuff. So it's moments like that are really special. Like, you do remember those. Like, I'll never forget that. And seeing her in the West End in Starlight Express, and she was bloody brilliant, like. And then what was lovely was a couple of years later, she then was in Hairspray with our friend Zoe.
Oh,
they were in the same cast, you know what I mean? So just really lovely, really, really nice. We also gave it a go on Stageco one year, which was mental. I have no idea what went through our head that we thought, do you know what? Let's just do a wee section of Starlight Express. But we went full on for it. So the girls that were cast as our coaches, like Dinah and Pearl and Ashley, we then took them at that time. Bangor had like a roller, what's it called? Rollerplex or something.
Yeah.
So like we took them to the rollerplex to get, you know, to let them practice their skating and stuff. And we did have we only had those 4 girls on skates. We didn't have everybody. But we had scooters and, you know, and it was really cool.
Oh, wow. I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, it was when we were still doing it in Happy Town.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. It was really good fun. And like the light at the end of the tunnel, we all had torches and we turned all the lights out and we just choreographed it with the torches and stuff.
Oh, it was nice. Yeah, that's
it was really special and really cool. Yeah, so there you go. That's Starlight Express.
Yeah, I love it. Well, we got to see it. Stageco were really lucky. We got invited over to London a couple of times to do.
The girls got invited over to London a couple of times. They did not take Tim.
I mean,
they did not take Tim at the beginning.
At the beginning?
Until we were much older and we went to Bromley once.
Oh, okay.
A couple of us.
Did you not even get to go to Ballina?
I went to Ballina, but that's not London.
Okay. I didn't know if you were just excluded.
just exclude the boys. No, it was the London trips that they just took you girlies.
So I think we did 3 London trips. 2 were something else, and then one was this special garden party thing. But one of those London trips we went on and we went and seen Starlight Express.
Amazing.
And all I can really remember is us kids were sitting in one place and the adults were sitting somewhere else.
Yeah.
And my sister is 4.5 years younger than me, and all I can remember is watching it fine and they whiz past so quickly.
Yeah, unbelievable.
So it was SJ, Caitlin, my sister, and me, and I can't remember, it's probably Gillian and whatever sitting beside us. But Caitlin is 4.5 years younger, and I think that we must have only been like 11 or something like that. So she was quite little. She was petrified, and she pretty much climbed down Sarah Jane's top. She was that frightened, and that's one of the main memories I have.
Yeah.
Also, in the interval, I remember going to the toilets and meeting my mum. Because like I said, we weren't sitting in the same place, and I remember saying to her, "It's okay, right? It's okay. It's all right. I don't think I fully got it."
Yeah.
And then at the end of it being like, "I love it. It's my favourite musical. This is my new personality." And Mum was like, "I thought you didn't like it." So it was either I got just caught up in the hype, or by the end of it, it all sort of started to make sense. But yeah, I'll never forget that Caitlin was so petrified that she climbed down Sarah Jane's top.
Oh, that's so funny.
I just remember them whizzing past, whizzing. And I do feel like that voice of the child,
"This is control,"
was a little bit creepy too, but like it made sense that almost like the child had fallen asleep and this was happening in their brain rather than them playing with it.
Or was it like they were playing with their trains at night? Because didn't then it go boop, 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 and it was the mum knocking on the door?
Ah, okay.
So
right.
Well, certainly the version I saw, but I love that beginning bit, and I also love the bit where they introduce all of the trains. So like the like bullet train from Japan, and it, one by one the different trains and their characters like come skating into the arena, and then when it gets to the British train, the Royal Train, we're sorry to announce that the Royal Train is running late due to lack of staffing and things like that. Just really funny. But I loved it because it introduced all of the characters, or all of the trains, and their costumes so perfectly fitted, their characters. So like the train from Italy was like in green, white and red, and that's an issue I feel I have with the new production.
Okay. So I haven't seen a huge amount apart from the stuff that's been on TikTok, but I purposely didn't want to watch too much before this. Well, I just kind of feel they all look the same. There's no real like distinguishing between, like, Greaseball really stood out. Elektra really stood out. I think that's really interesting. I have listened in the background to some review documentary thing, and that was there.
Yeah, they all just looked
just
the
in the previews,
same.
just saying there was not the original. What am I going to say? Like visual aspects, which you would have been used to, have maybe been diminished a little bit.
I would 1,000% agree with that.
But can't really understand the creative process behind it.
Yeah, well, I don't really, because you want them to look, like the thing about the original John Napier costumes where they genuinely, like the man was so talented because he did exactly the same thing with Cats. They genuinely looked like trains, to the point that on their knees, obviously they wore knee pads, defenders or knee pads, but then they had the bumpers that you would have had at the front of older train. Like they had the bumpers on their knees and on their elbows. Their shoulders were big shoulder pads to kind of show the chunkiness of a train. But like the color schemes they had, the Japanese had almost like a red circle on their chest, to show like the Japanese flag. It was just all really, the makeup was cleverly, they just looked like trains. And you could tell them all apart. You could tell which of the trains were freight because they looked like freight trains. They were chunkier. They had one of them who carried the bricks and said the line about the bricks, had a brick on his head. Do you know what I mean? Like it was just caricature. Yes, but interesting to look at. You could really distinguish the characters, and this one, it literally looks like sci-fi, futuristic.
Yeah, it does look more like
lots of silvery, metally variations of colour bases, but I couldn't tell you which one's which.
And I suppose there's nothing wrong with something being a caricature, especially if you're humanising a non-human thing.
Fair.
So I don't see why they would have had. It's not like it's controversial now in 2024.
Yeah, but they could be anything.
Yeah, and I think
They look like they could be anything. They
That's
could be
maybe what
having a
it's missing.
disco, a futuristic disco, wearing rollerblades or roller skates. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, you can never judge anything until you've seen it in person. So, I mean, it's just an opinion. But I just was like, oh, because I was so excited to see. Like, I couldn't wait to see the first initial, like, wee clips and
Yeah.
stuff. And I've just gone, put it this way, I haven't watched one clip through to the end.
Okay.
Do you know what
So
I mean?
I'm actually looking forward to going onto social media tonight and having a wee look.
Have a look and do text me because I would be interested to know what you think. I don't know if I would like the fact that you actually see a kid now. So you see control. I don't know how that fits in with these being surrounded by trains. Like, surely, you know, those trains should be much smaller than the controller and all the rest. Do you know what I mean? I just, it just feels all a wee bit muddled.
And do you know how long this production is meant to be in
No
for?
idea.
Like,
Well,
is
it's
it
been
a short
extended.
run?
No, it's been extended already.
Okay.
Because they've sold so many tickets. The other thing that I find quite interesting is there's some like gender reversals, which is fine. As we've said, we've mentioned that Papa is now Mama, but that's happened in the past. And it doesn't really matter. I thought it's quite interesting that I believe a girl is playing greaseball.
Right. Okay.
And I'm like, so how does that work with the whole the plot as well, you know, and the coupling and the uncoupling? I could have seen it if like Electra was played by a female, but I'm like going, oh, really interesting decision there. But hey, who am I?
Yeah, interesting.
I just think it's just very just different.
Maybe the creative choices
different,
are
but
real choices.
yeah, but nothing's clear. But I mean, nothing's clear from a video of a curtain call.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like, they're taking a bow and they're doing a mega mix. Do you know what I mean? But I'm just going, who's who? Where? Oh, she's singing Diesel. Oh, she must be Diesel. I was like, but she doesn't look like a diesel train. And that's not because she's a female. It's as in just her costume. She's like silver, like the rest of them, with a bit of yellow.
Too subtle.
Yeah. And like a wig with like yellow in it. I'm like, but where's the trainy bits? And I also loved in the original they had like loops or hooks on the back of their costume so that when the carts linked on, they like linked onto the hook, so it was like they hooked on. You know, which is all those really clever like things that John Napier obviously really thought about. They're not there.
But they are there in the Germany one.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. I think the Germany one is still pretty close to what that original production was. But certainly this new one seems to be very new and very modern.
Definitely going to look at social media tonight.
Because, like, genuinely, it probably would have been one of those ones that I would have been like, I would love to see that. And now that I've seen bits and pieces, I'm
it's not grabbing it.
I don't know if I do want to see that because I have such fond memories of the original that I wouldn't want to go and see a revival and be like, oh no, what have they done to my gorgeous Starlight Express? But I could be completely wrong. I'll wait and, well, I mean, I've said it now, but I'll come back in episodes to come, hopefully having spoken to people who have actually been to see it and see what they say.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. I think if
the music in the races is class though, isn't it?
And I think sometimes you have to like just ignore the little like controller, because sometimes that can get a wee bit, he's mentioning that again. Sometimes, not all the time, just sometimes. But I think if you haven't listened to Starlight Express ever before, go and listen to it. And if you haven't listened to it in a long time, go and just listen to your songs you
1000%.
remember, and then start listening to it again, because it'll really...
Next time I fall in love, it better be with you the way it used to. I'm making up the words.
It's lovely.
How does it start? Is it next time I fall in love or this time I fall?
Next time.
Next time I fall in love, it better be with me the way it used to be. Is that right?
Is that right, June?
Da-da was when we touched the starlight.
Yes, yeah, we've got it. You've got
Next time you fall in love, next time we fall in love. Sorry, I'm off on a...
You're okay. But again, some of the songs are very 80s power ballad too.
Oh, 1000%.
And maybe if they had been written slightly differently, you could have heard them in the charts by like a Spandau Ballet.
Well, when we finish this episode, we are immediately going to listen to...
Oh, yes, your man singing his 3 notes.
Earl Jordan's Engine of Love.
Engine of Love. I mean, I always remember Andrew Lloyd Webber saying that whenever he dies, he is going to... we will find out all of the pop songs he wrote under a pseudonym. I can't say that word.
Oh, wow.
And I always remember my mum being like, I can't wait to find out. Unfortunately, she's in heaven.
She already knows.
She already knows. But, yeah.
I've never heard that before.
Have you not?
So he has written pop songs.
Yes, he said it on one of his, like, Over the Rainbow or something like that, because it was one Saturday night, and I've got that real clear image, and Mum being like, oh, I'd love to know what pop songs he wrote.
I would love, but I also am going, why is it a secret?
Because maybe if, like, people thought it was Andrew Lloyd Webber, or maybe it's somebody claiming that they wrote the song and they didn't, and it's Andrew.
Yeah.
Maybe you could just tell us. Why don't you ask your mate Cameron McIntosh to ask Andrew, and then we'll find out, and we'll let our listeners know.
I actually think I would have a heart attack if either of them came on our podcast. Like, seriously, like... How many like new listeners do you think we would get?
One or two.
I think there might be a few more. Add a couple of zeros onto the end of those ones or twos. Very good. I thoroughly enjoyed this episode.
I really, really enjoyed it too. I love whenever there's a musical and there's a lot of background to it, and you can learn not only about the creative process but the musical itself. And
one that you came to at an a young age, and then you haven't looked at it, thought about it, listened to it for so many years, and then our wee podcast forced us to get it up on the Spotify or any other listening platform you might be using. And boogie on, like, literally I was singing at the top of my voice.
Well, that is a light.
No, not that one. Okay by me.
There's a light at the end of the tunnel. There's a light of locomotion. The tunnel. And then, obviously, Starlight Express. Starlight Express. And somebody else.
These are the for unbelievers. Electricity's high.
What's the song at the end of Act 1?
Steam has got the power that will lose along.
It's inside you. You've got the power.
At the end of Act 1 for Starlight Express?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let me just reach over here and I'll get it up.
It's inside you. I think I'm thinking.
Oh, is that not? I am the starlight.
That's it.
Have the power within you.
That's it. You did that really well.
Just believe in yourself and see the world before you. Da-da-da, and turn the tide.
That's it.
I am the starlight. I particularly like the 1993 recording.
I have just completely forgot that we are recording.
Oh, yeah. Crazy. Can you believe him? He's crazy.
Oh, I like that one too.
Leave him. He's crazy. Going crazy. I'm crazy for are you? Yeah.
I tried to sing that for an audition once and realised it was not in my vocal range.
Well, it wasn't in my vocal range there either. There was a few wee squeaks going on. I was like, oh, this is a wee bit high.
No, I'm not going to be able to sing that.
Yeah. There you go.
That was good fun. Yeah, no, I think I'll be listening to Starlight for the next week and a bit.
I think I'm going to listen to it in the car on the way home again, to be fair with you.
Perfect.
Can we just come back next week and do the same one? I just didn't expect to be like...
I know, like, actually...
ranting. I was worried at the beginning of this episode you were going to be like,
you?
nope, I don't like it. Sorry, you don't talk like that, but...
I know, it was a very interesting impersonation of me there.
I actually also remember I was so sad as a kid, like doing my own costume designs for Starlight Express, like actually doing my own wee train designs. Isn't that really sad?
Maybe that's why this new one upsets you so much, because you know.
I mean, they didn't contact me. Yeah. I have the prints at home.
Nobody's contacted me recently.
I do feel bad actually. I like worry Arlene's going to come for me or something because I've like poo-pooed it and I haven't even seen it. But that's really unfair to do. But I think just this costumes really irked me. I was like, what?
Yeah. Well,
where's their buffers?
Well, we'll look a wee bit more.
I can't wait. You need to go and have a look straight away.
Yeah, I will.
All right. Next time.
Bye.
Bye.